Hi everybody, and welcome to Build, Share and Grow with AI, the Women on Stage International Women's Day Global Virtual Conference 2026. Thank you all for being here. I'm so excited to be here with you again today and thrilled to have all of you join us. I'm Moran Weber, Women on Stage CEO and founder. And this March, we're doing something a little different than the usual yearly conference. This time, instead of a one-day event, we're turning International Women's Day into a curated YouTube series featuring some of the best women leaders in tech worldwide, releasing short, practical tech talks throughout the entire month, with a new talk released every day or two under the theme Build, Share, and Grow with AI. So we know AI has practically changed everything, but here we'll explore specifically how AI is reshaping how we build technology, share our knowledge, and grow our careers. We will talk about how teams actually build technology today with AI, how we share knowledge in an AI native world, and how careers and visibility change when everyone has AI leverage. So our incredible speakers will share practical insights across three main tracks: Build with AI, Share with AI, and Grow with AI. And this year, we also have a very special surprise for you with big news ahead coming up from the team behind Women on Stage and myself. So stay tuned until the end of my talk. And now I'd like to start my keynote by telling you a story. So I woke up this morning, I drank my coffee, and I went to work. And I knew I had to write really important code that could actually affect my entire career and my future. So I enabled Claude Code do all the work. I trusted it blindfolded. I didn't even test it locally and just pushed and deployed to production. Makes sense, right? No? Let's try this again, one more time. I was kidding. So I was kidding. I did run it locally. I just only tested one happy flow, one case, the happy flow. I didn't test any edge case, and then I shipped to production. Now it makes sense, right? It still doesn't? Okay, let's do it again one more time. So this time I did a really big architectural change, one that affects the entire core of our system, and it affects everyone. And I pushed it myself. I didn't ask anyone for a code review, and everyone got it, and now they have to deal with it. Now it makes sense? It still doesn't make sense? So why? God, why? When it comes to public speaking, when stage fright is one of the most common human fears, people think it's okay not to test themselves first. So I'll tell you a secret. It's not because people don't know it's important or because people don't care. They do. And many times they even get really anxious before going up on stage. But the problem is that in the world of public speaking, we don't have a standardized preparation workflow that we know we must go through, like we know and like we have in the quality assurance process of building software. So, hi, let me properly introduce myself now. So, I'm Moran Weber. I'm the founder of Women on Stage and two new products that are about to go live soon and are meant to help and support speakers throughout their entire speaking journey. I've been a speaker, an event organizer, and speakers trainer for the past 7 years. Before I was a software engineer for a decade. In addition, I'm also a social psychologist. But it was the engineer in me who realized that what is missing is this workflow. And I'm going to share with you today my winning workflow and the one that I teach in my classes. And I promise you that if you go through these steps, you will be able to produce much better talks and feel much more confident. So what are we going to talk about today? First, we're going to break some false assumptions many people might have. Next, I'm going to show you how that kind of workflow, a preparation workflow, should look like, and what should be part of it. And next, I'm going to show you where you can use AI in this process and where you probably mustn't use AI. So first, let's break a few myths. Number one, yay, AI will save me, AI will do it for me, yay, I don't need to work so hard anymore. So no, AI can help, but it doesn't replace your taste, your judgment, or your voice. So this is one of those places where it shouldn't be AI first. So number two, great speakers are naturally born or naturally talented, natural charisma. So no, from my experience, the quality of your content is a function of both your preparation and how much you validate it. Next, this is only for extrovert, super confident people. So that's not true as well. Actually, confidence is a derivative of preparation, which means with enough preparation and enough validation, anyone can be good at it. Anyone can be confident. And I must admit that myself, I wasn't born a speaker at all. It's true that in the last few years I've been a public speaker and I've been teaching how to do that. But back then, during most of those years, not only I couldn't imagine myself going up on stage, I could barely open my mouth in daily mundane meetings at work because I was too afraid someone will catch me as a fraud. And here's proof for that. This is one of the first times I went up on stage, and I was so anxious and so afraid of the audience that I spent almost the entire talk with my back in front of the audience, just looking at the screen because I was so scared of looking at them in the eye. So if you want to see 50 minutes of my back, it's still available on YouTube. And I must admit that even today, my relationship with public speaking, it's complicated. And it doesn't matter how many times I've done it before. And I want to share with you now my emotional journey every time I have to speak. It always starts with having a cute idea, a nice idea, and then I see an open call for papers and for a cool conference, and I submit, and then yay, I got accepted, and I get really happy for 1 minute, and then I realize, wait, this means that I actually have to go through with it, but I didn't think it's through. Oh no. What have I done? Why? Why am I doing this to myself? Why? I'm such a good person. I don't want to do it again. No. And then I get to that pit of despair and I don't know what to do, and I'm really, really, really desperate. And then I tell myself, okay, you've done it before. Maybe you know what to do. So I start to climb my way back up. And then I feel like, okay, I start to know what I'm doing. I hate it, but I'll do it anyway. I get really stomach aches. But then, 3 minutes after I'm up on stage, everything changes. I start to feel good, and by the time I'm done with it, I feel so proud and accomplished that I'm like Sinatra, saying I did it my way. And I swear to you, this happens every time. Even today, it happened this morning. And today in my talk, I want to focus here. What happens here in this pit of despair and how to get out of it. And I want to share with you my magic workflow, the one that works for me and the one that I teach in my classes. And I can assure with you that if you will do it, you will create amazing content. Just follow this workflow. So let us start. Let's say we already have an idea, okay? And next thing is to create an outline. So one of the most common mistakes people have is that they start with creating the slides, But slides does not equal a presentation or a talk. Always start with a blank text document and start developing your narrative, your story, in a way that you create a journey. And then you create an order between those parts and you make sure they make sense, that A leads to B, B leads to C, the same way that you want the journey that you want your audience to go through. So now you have those slides. How do you transform your outline into slides? So the problem with bullet points, and it doesn't matter how many times people say it, and it doesn't matter how many people tell you that bullet points are boring and we don't like them, still, the main problem with bullet points is that you can't read them and listen to me at the same time. And this happens because our brain has to work real hard in order to read text. But with pictures, with visuals, with icons, our brain automatically process and automatically analyze what's there, so it can listen to you at the same time. Let me give you a small example. So I could have shown you these bullet points saying we ran some tests, all of them passed except one, and eventually the build failed. I could do better, and I could show you a terminal, and I could color it with green or red, and now you don't have to work as hard as before. But I could do much better than that. No text at all, and now you don't even need to read it. You understand immediately the bottom line. So next thing is taking your outline and splitting it into slides. So how do you do that? So I split my outline into segments, small paragraphs, even sentences, and I search for relevant visuals by keywords, images or icons that match that text. The idea is that you must have as less text as possible and as many visuals as possible. The more the merrier. And while you have to maintain this rule, keep in mind that you always have to have only one message per slide. And really, there's no limit on the number of slides. I don't care if you have a 5-minute talk and you have 200 slides. It doesn't matter. The audience doesn't know and will never know, and they don't care. What you need to remember is only one message per slide. Going next, the local debugging step. This is where most speakers get it wrong. We have to run it locally and debug. This is your way to debug yourself. And this is the first time you will get to the first bug fix iteration. And by running it yourself, I mean out loud. Because if you're reading it in your head, it's just like having a unit test saying assert true to be true. It doesn't test anything and it doesn't really matter. So it has to be out loud. And here is the place I will measure how much time it takes me. And I will usually realize that I have to make it shorter now because we're always out of time. And note that there is a negative correlation between the effort I make and the presentation length, meaning the shorter the presentation, the longer it takes me to prepare it. Going next, the dry run or the staging environment. So a dry run is a session in which you run your presentation with other people, just like your staging environment. And just like you can't code review yourself, you can't test your communication skills without communicating with other people. You have to have real people on the other side to give you real feedback. And really, even the greatest stand-up comedians of all, like Jerry Seinfeld, no matter how experienced they are, they must go through this step of testing their material. Otherwise, how do they know if it's funny or not? How do you know if you make sense or not? How do you know if it's clear or not? How do you know if people get what you're trying to say? And really, no matter how many talks I gave in my life, 100% of times when I do it in front of people, I always fix something. I always find small bugs every time. And also for other people's. I saw so many people going through this step, and the before versus after is always mind-blowing. You wouldn't believe it. Now, let us talk about the logistics. With whom? So I know many people do it with their parents, with their spouse, but that doesn't really test it, because you must try it out with someone who actually represents your target audience and understands the domain you are talking about. How many people? Of course, a small group is better, and people's perspectives may vary a lot, but even if you find only one person, that's also good enough and significant. And how this session should look. So it's one person speaking and presenting, and the other one taking notes, and after that, both of them discuss the notes. Okay, so this is the step where you will find many bugs. Many bugs will come up. And I want to tell you, don't be alarmed and don't be discouraged, because number one, you would prefer to find these bugs now in staging rather than in production, right? And number two, sometimes people will say a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it's still your decision, and you don't have to fix everything based on all of their comments. Just do whatever you like. And okay, let's say by now I feel my content is good, it's been polished, and now it's time for rehearsal. Once again, I do it out loud and more than once. And how to avoid having a blackout when I'm up on stage. So remember this graph and this stage? This is called the first awful 2 or 3 minutes, and that's where most people are usually the most anxious. After that, they usually get used to it and things get better. So in order to avoid having a blackout, always memorize the first few minutes of your talk. But don't try to memorize everything, and afterwards things will be much easier. Okay, lastly, finally, we're in production, we're up on stage. So now let us talk about AI, where we can use it and where you mustn't use it. So first things first, with finding ideas, AI is really great. It can help me brainstorm, it can help me find new ideas. We even have a couple of talks about how AI can boost your creativity in this conference. When you're writing your outline, so there I would have to say absolutely not. This is your job to create the narrative. It's your job to create the story. It's your story. Because an AI can't write your story and your narrative for you. Because if it does, people tend to react like that. They see right through it, and it's not authentic, and it's not interesting. Next thing, the slides. So at this step, you can use AI, but do it with care. There are many Gen AI tools for creating presentations and slides like Gamma App, and if you take your outline and use it as a prompt, these tools will actually create really pretty slides, but those won't fit the #1 message per slide rule. They will create a lot of pretty bullet points with a lot of text and just place them nicely on each slide. So what you can do, split the outline yourself and then ask AI to generate images for you for each slide. You can even ask it to write the prompts that will generate images for each slide. So where else can I use AI? What about the next steps? Remember I told you we have 2 new products coming up? So the first one is Onstage AI. Onstage AI is a staging environment for your content and delivery before you actually get to production or the stage. I kept seeing people skipping staging, so I decided to build it. You can record yourself, get both AI and human feedback, and get better before you actually go on stage. The second one, Get on Stage, was born out of the notion that you can be really great, you can have a fantastic idea, you can have a fantastic presentation, a fantastic talk, but you don't have the stage to showcase your work. So Get On Stage is the all-in-one speaker management platform for tech teams, where you can discover conferences, manage your talks, track submissions, and maximize your chances to grow your visibility all in one place. Eventually, I realized speaking is a system, so that's why it requires a proper infrastructure. And you are very lucky because you have a chance to enroll to a private beta with limited spots for one or both of our new products. Just scan the QR code here. So let me recap. You always start with the outline, text only. You convert it into slides and you try to avoid a lot of text and try to add as many images as you can. Then you run it locally to debug yourself. Next, you do a dry run with others. That's your staging environment. And you can use AI only after you created the story and the narrative yourself. And if there's only one thing I want you to take away from this talk, is that great tech talks aren't born. They are engineered. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who joined in. We'd love to hear your feedback and your thoughts. Join us again. Scan this QR code to follow both me and Women on Stage, and we'd love to see you again soon. Bye.